Huh? Let's press stuff on it, because I'm not sure what I'm going for here. This jar was already broken. It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case, but not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. It was dark in the room, I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No, if I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you do that for me? Seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. Seifa wiped away the blood. Afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marsh, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes, I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. Still plenty of time to make up. So we got to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. Is there? Gotta be something right here. Okay, what was our 2 rules of evidence law? No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And this guy's prince, so that's not helpful. Huh. Probably something I'm missing. It's dark in the room. I didn't have time to check it out. We saved, wiped away the blood. Fragments were large, so... Oh, fragments. Sorry. Got it, got it. It wasn't broken at that time, unless you're saying you broke it. Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was... still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up to the scene. Chief Gant got there before you.
What? Couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. Pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ah, can you believe that?
I really can believe that. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that.
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant at the time he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was the first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No.
I guess he can't.
Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
David Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. Proceeded to break the jar. And purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lana Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Sky became the Chief's puppet. Nailed it! No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. Wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up their most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana, maybe you're right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So, do you tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But, I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right. The witness may testify once more for the final time.
The actual crime scene. Here we go. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword.
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What? To me?
It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere.
Okay, it's in the book.
Is that the only spot I can peg? Yep.
Hey, there's a picture here.
Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Honest picture inserted into the court record. Mr. Wright, that piece cut out from his vest, could that be... Cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. These are fingerprints, those are, must be the real murderer. Emma, they're your fingerprints. What, those fingerprints? They're yours, Emma. Oh, right, she doesn't know that. I know that. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the sewers. I'm trying to cross-examine here.
Come now, Aji.
This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Chief Gant.
What now, you want to make me out as a bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. You're kind of losing it a little bit. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't, but someone does.
Someone?
So what's your excuse, righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt?
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? One that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall. I shouldn't show the evidence, so I cannot show evidence. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
What? You lie. Chief Gant.
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. Conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Cat?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area?
It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer.
I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. Well, we knew that. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why?
For insurance, of course. Insurance. I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you think? Take me for a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Ho, ho, ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth. Come on, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. I guess I gotta show the evidence now. Hopefully we can wing it.
Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. All right then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
Take that. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests that it be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must be a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
Could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho ho ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. And he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You knew whose fingerprints are on there. Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. Should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person who these fingerprints belong to is... Emma Sky. Ay, 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 ay,
Emma Sky?
Yeah, no, there's another Sky. What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, ho, ho, ho. You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
How could you? You monster.
Miss Sky.
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too.
We're doomed. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence that my friend is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter, cat? Cut your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gat, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Do we know who this is?
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gat, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. I mean, it's square-shaped in this. This is not very square. It's gotta be that. Right? What exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured, blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it.
Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at the time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gat, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lotta Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armorer's sword? And to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. Make Lana believe her sister did it. From what you admitted only moments ago, that you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. Nailed it. It's finally all over. Here I thought it was the shape was bad. Heh. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see that piece of cloth is illegal evidence.
Order. What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji. Earlier, old
Righto here concealed that piece of cloth.
So then what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be illegal evidence. But that's not fair.
Ho ho ho.
Did you actually think you could best me in court? I think I did, because legally I can't present evidence like that. It's gotta be a police. And you're police. You asked me to present it. Looks like the last laugh's on you, son.
I'm afraid Mr. Gatt's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely illegally concealed the piece of cloth?
I want to say I did not. Hold on. Before we dive too far. Just checking. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department, so I can't show it. And unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. So it became relevant when he said that I had it and I couldn't present it because yep, we're good. We're good. I did not. I admit I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved with presenting evidence.
No, Aji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe.
There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. No. Well, welcome home, Lady Hawk. It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant.
The killer was you.
Oh, he's losing it.
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. Good for nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department, trying to get something on me.
Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you gotta help me.
Goodman turned him down, and he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. And all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
He opened his evidence locker and he was taking the evidence out. He said,
It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall.
Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. On Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer. Whatever, it has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Sky involved in all this? Well, she had so much to lose, as I did, if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it, you and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Achi.
What?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Kent. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. They have Wright here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. Nailed it. Two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Grant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky, I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright.
Miss Sky.
And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few years. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you.
It was nothing.
Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it, I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems good self-examining is order for all of us. Miss Sky.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're innocent of murder, however. Although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is still you acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for the crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. Long since I've felt free of these heavy chains.
This trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty.
Yay.
That is all. This court is adjourned.
And lobby number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Emma. Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh. Yes, I am. I'll come back later.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run around all on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana. Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know.
Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now, I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Hey! Oh, Emma, Emma. She's so happy now. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it's from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. I'm sorry that I'm failing you. At least that's what it felt, watching the two sisters make up. It's not my fault. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me.
Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? Says the guy who couldn't see him half the time in his office just standing by the window. I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. What a lovely fellow. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. I just got screwed because of it. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows, given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, pop quiz? Come, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. When we combined our two pieces of paper together... That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence, and I had the other. It was like a match made in heaven. It was destiny. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you could let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know, it seems I owe you many thanks too, Wright. But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Oh, scientific investigation with a little duck. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so another case came to close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself.
Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal.
Huh? What is it, detective?
There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks in the prison are a different story.
Huh?
Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either.
Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side.
Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill.
What?
What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream?
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. We're actually at the end. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top corner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Oh, that was like the best ending to the best game.
Yikes. I thought I was a goner for a moment there. You overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If I penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. Just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily.
Ah, glad you enjoyed that ending that just sort of happened. You know, it was good. I liked it. Some of those scenes were very wild. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner is keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir, then I could be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Oh. Made it to the end. Oh, that stupid thing, and I had to frickin' line that thing up to match that. That was a lot of hokey bogus garbage. That's right, you fall over, you piece of trash. Hated that. Took me so many attempts to get that stupid thing lined up.
What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this in for me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water?
It's quite unfortunate. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller on exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Yeah, I don't think I've ever eaten my food backwards in all my days. Just throwing that out there.
Never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing, something, rather for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go.
Lunch Lady was like the best character. She's very interesting at the end there. Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. My afternoon training's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. I didn't know they took their gavel with them. I just assumed they would have left it there. Oh, it's Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on? Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. A little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Oh. Am I supposed to flip it? Yeah. What a nice photo. Hey, achievement unlocked, rise from the ashes. Nice little ending.